That's futuristic. Now try electric motor. Oh, that's cool too.
Yeah, that's pretty cool too.
And now our favourite.
G engine. Cool. We like that.
You do, eh?
Yeah. We don't even need to do any fake sounds for this car, Stu, like we usually do.
It saves me a whole lot of special effects editing.
Absolutely.
And when you've had enough of it, you do this. It's beautiful. What do you think it looks like?
Well, it's got a bit of everything in it. It's certainly got a bit of Porsche Macan, I think. A little bit of Porsche Cayenne in it as well.
Yeah.
A lot of these SUVs really are boxes on wheels. Like this isn't. I like the look of it.
At $120,000, you think, oh, that's expensive.
Yeah. In the bigger scheme of things, and what if you're buying EVs and high performance, high quality EVs, that's the sort of money you're looking at, aren't you?
So despite the fact that you don't really go for EVs and you don't really go for SUVs.
Yeah. I like the iPedal system that we're familiar with Genesis and Hyundai as well. Like the way it handles, like the way it brakes.
Well, that's enough talking. I think you better hop back in and drive it some more. Righto, Mark, welcome aboard Genesis GV60. We've done the GV70 petrol turbo, we've done the G80, we've done the Kona EV, we've done the N-Cars. We're getting good friends with Hyundai Genesis.
Yeah, no, they're good people there. They've been very supportive, so thank you very much, guys, there. It's great to have you on board.
Indeed.
Very interesting cars. I'm learning a lot, Stu, even though I'm usually the bad cop when it comes to EVs. The one thing we've found, you know, with this car, I've got the seat down all the way, I've got the steering wheel out all the way, and actually I'm quite comfortable in the seating position. I'd like to go down a little bit further, but I can't. It's down as far as it'll go. So I can't get that right for my height and where I want to sit, so ergonomically that's a little bit of an issue there.
It was the same in the G80. The seat wouldn't go low enough and the wheel wouldn't come close enough.
That's right.
Because you like to be close, so do I.
So I'm reasonably comfortable there, but I'm missing some of the display there, which is you know, the point of having this really cool display.
Every time you move your hands on the steering wheel, I can hear it sound. It's kind of like plasticine, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right? Even though it's Napa leather.
It's a bit sticky.
Fact, it's a bit sticky?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, little things, isn't it funny?
Yeah.
Performance, ridiculous. The poverty pack version of this has 234 kilowatts and 605 newton meters.
Yeah, right.
This is the up-spec version. It has 180 kilowatts at the front and 180 kilowatts at the back, 360, and 700 newton meters.
It's impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, so 0 to 100, 4.6 seconds, unless you push the boost button there, which brings it down to 4 seconds flat. So if you push that, you've got 9 seconds to use it.
Yeah, well, I'm not
we
going to do it with the road.
Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, Mark, don't do it. You get 10 seconds.
This is like push to pass, isn't it?
It is. It's exactly what it is. It's DRS enabled. How cool is that? It'll only work as long as you've got more than 20% battery.
Yeah.
Stuff I really like. Augmented reality display. Heated and cooled seats. One really useful feature. In the back here, there's a 240 volt socket. 15 amps. More than enough to charge your laptop. Sport. Wait for the seats to come in.
Yeah. We'll just sneak in front of this truck. Oh dear, thought we were going to crash.
Oh, there goes my tripod.
Just been waiting to do that, Stu.
We started to find the limits of the...
It had a little bit of a slide across the road then, didn't it? Interesting.
It's pretty impressive though.
Yeah. That sounds good. It pushes a little bit, doesn't it?
It does.
Pretensioners.
Yeah.
Yours come on?
The car got alarmed then, yes, they did, yeah.
That concrete barrier was coming up.
It saw the concrete barrier and went, this guy's got no idea.
Yeah. But a little bit of understeer.
I'm going to turn the sound off. Some people will go, you heathen, you've got a car with no sound, why give it sound? Mark Edwards talking to you here. Sound. Active sound design, off. Blissful silence.
Yeah, because I like that noise, that sound, but it was already starting to get on my nerves a little bit, if I'm honest. So, yeah. I think I agree with Mark on that. You got an EV, you just want it to be silent.
It's a wonder to me they haven't done it before, because it's only just a bit of software, and they've got so much software in the car.
Yeah.
They've got a great stereo.
Really easy to do, isn't it?
I mean, Porsche charged you $1,050 for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you started to find its limits there, didn't you? A bit of power on a corner.
It's interesting, and that's probably just the SUV characteristics of this car as opposed to the sedan which we drove recently.
That one actually, the G80 actually had higher grip levels.
Way higher.
Yeah,
way higher.
Not that it's bad. Don't get us wrong. It's still phenomenal. But the G80 was exceptional, I think, for what it was.
Wasn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Super impressed with that.
A couple of new colours on this car, exclusive to this car.
It really is fast, isn't it? I love doing that on the corner bit. So.
That is fast.
Yeah. I'm starting to enjoy EVs, Stu.
Are you? Okay, 0 to 100. About. That's pretty good.
That's pretty quick, wasn't it?
So here, and we'll go boost mode this time. Boost ready.
Yeah, it's faster.
Yeah. 100.
That's a good bit faster, wasn't it?
Boost mode. Approve.
That even gave me a bit of it's a real savage jolt, isn't it?
With this car, Genesis are just showing off. They're trying to impress you with what they can do with technology and just how effortless they can make the power delivery in a 2-ton SUV. I think it looks very elegant, especially in this new mint colour, or the copper. Compare it to almost any other mid-size SUV and you'll notice the lack of sharp angles, creases and fiddly styling bits. Refreshing, isn't it? I think that even if you keep it for years, this is the kind of car that's going to keep surprising you with "I didn't know it could do that" moments. If you want the seats to blow a bit more cooled air on your spine and not so much up your bum, it can do that. If you want that augmented reality navigation to give you a bit more notice before your freeway exits, it can do that. If you want to automatically switch to recirculated air when you enter tunnels, it can do that. When the car decides it's time for your soothing back massage, if you want to change the intensity and duration, it will oblige. If you want to set the cabin temperature you'd like for any specific time and day, it can remember that. If your partner comments that the adaptive cruise control behaves differently when you're driving, that's because it's been watching the way each of you drive and mimics your style and the gaps you leave in traffic. Even the synthesized sound effects, which we've joked about previously and generally not been a fan of, sound appropriate and they're all good fun. For a little while anyway. On the freeway you'll probably turn it off and appreciate the silence. Or the incredible 17-speaker Bang & Olufsen sound system. You won't learn all this stuff in a day or a month, but from the smell of the quilted Napa leather to its reassuring tones, this car wants to be your servant. It seems to be a car that's designed to make you feel important and empowered. I know this sounds like an ad, but it's really like that.
I mean, it's not
It doesn't appear to be a lot of difference on steering feel between comfort and sport that I can feel.
No, I couldn't feel much either.
Certainly feel the difference in power and handling, but not a lot on steering. So it's possibly a little vague on the steering side of things. So that's in sport mode. It's a little floaty, even in sport mode. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, I needed to drive it a bit myself to answer that, and so I did. And Mark's right. It's really good, but not happiest when you're on and off the throttle in the bendy bits. It is still more SUV than sports sedan. You don't stand it on its nose diving into a corner. Rather, you should just sweep along majestically, squeeze on the power, and then use the I-pedal to let it settle as you approach bends, but pretty much maintaining an even speed. It's still really fast, and you can lean on it and trust it, but the Michelin Pilot Sport EV tyres are optimised for low rolling resistance and don't quite have the same ultimate cornering grip as the Pilot Sport 4s. But no mistake, it's still a hoot to drive.
It's using the eGMP platform, the same as the Ioniq 5 and the EV6.
Yeah, right.
And the Ioniq 6, which I have driven, by the way, on a racetrack. But I can't tell you anything about it yet, except to say it was very good, and it's very different from the Ioniq 5, so I think you're going to like it. Steering particularly was great. But this is on the same platform, so it's got a 2.9 metre wheelbase, very long. The Ioniq 5 is actually 3 metres. Love the colour. Hanema Mint. Hanema Mint.
That's awesome.
It's got active noise cancelling, just like a good pair of headphones. So it's a really quiet ride here, despite the fact we're on massive 21-inch wheels. I actually really like the styling, but I don't like the design of the wheels, and I don't like the fact they're 21 inch, because you've got these short little sidewalls, and the suspension, the active suspension, is working really hard to compensate for the fact and give you back the sort of cushioning that you get. Super smart suspension, adaptive. It's looking at the road ahead, looking for potholes, looking for imperfections, and adjusting just as you get there. Hey, I really wanted to like this car, and I thought it's got all the fruit. This is a real flagship, like the G80. It's showing everything they can do electrically, and it's got masses of performance. So far, very minor disappointments. The ride and the steering feel. Right now the ride's fine. You haven't been harsh, but can you feel how the suspension's trying to... There's a little bit of bobbing. The steering feel, in whatever mode I'm in, it's a little bit disconnected. It's SUV-like. I was hoping for something really pointy, like your Megane that we drove last week. Now what we could do here is set adaptive cruise to 100 k's an hour and set your gap, and it'll just quietly follow this guy at 23 k's an hour.
Well, and you know, look, one of the features we have here is iPedal, which we really like with Genesis. I can just adjust that, and if I need a bit more iPedal on the positive paddle on the side of the steering wheel, if I want less, back to a conventional setup. If I turn it off there, the car starts coasting like a regular car would. If I go up on full iPedal there, it starts to slow right down.
And you're not braking there at all?
Not braking at all.
Down this steep hill,
the car doing all that by itself.
Yeah.
Probably if I was driving this day to day, I guess you'd get used to the one pedal driving system, but as I just jump in them, you know, every now and again to drive, I prefer to just drive them like a regular car with regular accelerator and regular brake use.
Yours is an 18-way seat, mine's only a 12-way.
Yeah, and if I go to sport mode there, you can feel the bolsters really tighten up on me now, and actually the seats are very, very good, there's no doubt about that.
You like them?
Yeah.
After an hour's driving, coming up here, it went automatically into massage
I'm
mode.
looking forward to that massage a little bit later on, Stu.
Okay.
From the car, not from you.
I'm glad it's the car and not me as well, but it was pretty aggressive, and hopefully it'll take you by surprise. You suddenly get... the other notable thing, of course, the mirrors.
Taking a little while to get used to. You would get used to them. I've actually never driven a car with this arrangement before. I know there's a few cars out there that have it now. It's an interesting experience, isn't it? I find the left-hand one is actually really good. I find I can look in that and still have my peripheral vision here on the road, but I'm finding if I'm looking in this one on the right-hand side, I'm kind of really taking my eyes off the road to look at the screen to see what's happening behind. But
I think you need more time, that's all.
Probably need more time.
Because it's sort of where you'd be. It's just that it's closer. So you've got to adjust your eye focus closer.
Yeah, that depth perception changes a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think you will. I struggled as well initially. Is he really there, or is he a little bit further back?
It's just a bit of a trust factor, isn't it?
Yeah. The thing is, the whole point of having these screens here is that you don't need wing mirrors hanging out in the breeze, making the car wider. Being something big and expensive and electronic that could get knocked off by a passing truck.
They haven't quite got that one right, have they? But it all works really well.
Did I mention the grunt?
Yeah, so
it's got some grunt.
It's quick, isn't it?
We need sound if we're going to do that. So let's go to sound design, G engine.
That's not bad, is it? I quite like that.
It's actually a nice sounding motor.
Yeah.
It sounds like an M3 CSL at low revs. Ooh, but then it gets a bit of a burble. It gets a bit of Audi RS4 in it.
I'm sure there's a few different exhaust notes mixed in there.
So you're in comfort mode now?
Yeah.
It's very quiet.
So back in comfort mode, that really does tune those little bumps out really nicely, doesn't it? I mean, it is a lot more comfortable, as you'd expect.
But that augmented reality drive thing is just so good, isn't it?
Very clever, isn't it?
Even when we haven't got a nav destination set, just showing you where you are positioned in your lane.
I don't want to be on any EV as a driver having to go to a screen over here to do much. For me, that's a big problem. So having everything accessible on the steering wheel, and it's really quite intuitive. They've really thought that through, haven't they?
It's still going to take a while to learn all the functions, because it is pretty busy there.
Well, there's a lot of functions, isn't it?
Yeah.
First thing I've done, as I usually do when I jump onto these, is turn the lane departure off, because that annoys the hell out of me going on and off all the time. the intelligent road sign warnings are great. I mean, we're into some roadworks there at 40. It's flipped straight up with the correct speed limit on the car, so that stuff's all working really well these days, isn't it? And the road workers have put out some crappy signs there that don't read that well, and the car picks them up.
Stuff in the now we're just showing off category. Fully reclining driver's seat.
It's like Qantas business class. It's actually a lot better than Qantas business class, because that's shit.
The crystal sphere, the fingerprint recognition. Unrecognised. Oh, just contacted my parole officer. That's bad.
Uh-oh.
With this car you get 5 years free charge, Fox, or they'll come and install a wall charger in your garage.
That's good, isn't it?
If you're a road trip kind of person,
I'd
I'd go the 5 years charge, Fox.
Would you?
Yeah, because the wall chargers are actually getting cheaper. Soundproof glass, and it's got full LED headlights. Not only that, it's got an auto dip mode with oncoming traffic that doesn't just go up, down, up, down. It progressively turns some of them on and off. How good's that? The driver-only mode for the air conditioning, so you can go bugger stew. It's all for me. When you change the modes from Eco to Comfort to Sport, it doesn't only adjust the throttle map, it does the steering as well, the ESC, stability control, the suspension, and the electronic diff, so it adjusts everything.
It's very
changing the throttle mapping.
And the seat bolsters.
Ah, yeah. Range 470 kilometres, WLTP. Realistically, I think at full charge was showing about 415. That's not bad, but it supports the 800 volt architecture, so super rapid charging if you can find a super fast charger. 10 to 80% in around 18 minutes. Right, 60% battery. We've got a range of around 227 k's if you keep driving it as recklessly as I was when I drove it up here.
Yeah.
But I still got 19 to 20 kilowatt hours per 100k, which is good.
Yeah.
For a 2.2 tonnes it is, 2,210
right.
kilos. If I want to see where we can charge, I can just press that and it'll say nearest charge station, NRMA, Reed Avenue, Lithgow. I reckon we might go there just for fun. There are only 2 stalls there.
Yeah, let's hope they're both free and both working.
Funny he should say that. One broken, one was occupied. So for the first time ever we had a little drama. I made a separate video about charging, so check that out after this one if you're seriously thinking about an EV in regional areas. So we had a meal, the other guy had gone, and everything was sweet.
Yeah.
So it did work, but today less successful, simply because the infrastructure's broken.
Yeah.
We could go to Bathurst, there are 3 chargers there, they're all broken.
Yeah.
So the message is you need to have a plan A and a plan B and a plan C.
That's going to be a problem. It's going to take a little while for infrastructure to catch up with that in our country.
It is still significantly easier for Teslas. When they build a Tesla supercharger, they don't put in 2 stalls with one of them already pre-broken. And they always work too. Phew. But it shouldn't have to be, charging your EV shouldn't have to be this kind of thing, should it?
But it is. It'll get better. It's the reality in regional Australia, put it that way. Let's do a little reverse park here.
Okay. It can do it for you.
Yeah, it would do. That just takes
We
a
can get out and let it do
little
it.
bit of getting used to with those screens there, doesn't it?
Now look how good that is.
Yeah. So
And
that's
also
really
as well.
useful for that, isn't it?
That's really good.
Yeah. It was useful. You sort of lose a couple of your little references that you're used to using. When I parallel park a car, I generally only use mirrors, but you would get used to it. But that was actually really, really good. That's in eco mode now.
Eco. You notice how lazy the throttle pedal is when you're on
Very
Eco?
lazy, yeah.
It's just really,
But it's enough, isn't it, when you're just cruising around?
yeah.
I think it's really just the big 21-inch wheels. The ride of the car itself, the suspension's actually pretty good. I'm getting pretty picky if I start to say it's not as good as it could be at higher speed.
Do you think not?
It's a little bit bling with those wheels on it.
The slightly less powerful one does come with 20-inch wheels.
Right. Because these roads are terrible.
I
Can
think
you imagine a lot of cars you'd be crashing through here, wouldn't you, Stu, and
Yeah.
you'd really know it?
Yeah. Here we go. Well, that was a big one, wasn't it? Well done. That camera's doing a sterling job looking at what's coming. And
Yeah.
I don't know how it works, but it's pretty incredible. Like that was a pretty big hole just then
Yeah.
that you had no vision of, and yet it saw it at the last second. And you couldn't ask for a quieter car as well. It's like an S-Class Merc.
Well, it must be rough when there's a sign actually saying the road is rough, right?
And when you think about this car, it's 120,000. This is the most expensive GV60. There are only two variants. This is the super high performance all-wheel drive. The other one's also all-wheel drive. Doesn't have quite as much grunt.
Yeah, right. It's really next level with everything, isn't it?
Compared to cars, we did drive the rear-wheel drive BMW iX3.
Yeah, which was actually a lot more impressive than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and quite comparable in terms of size. It's still $16,000 cheaper than a BMW iX3.
Yeah, that's true.
I know what you're thinking. 120 grand just rolls off my tongue as if it's affordable. Compared to the luxury Euro competition, features, safety and performance-wise, yes, it definitely is cheap. But to regular folks, what our politicians like to call the aspirationals, it's still a crazy amount of money, I get it. But if it is in your budget and you accept the dynamic limitations of an SUV and the space limitations of the smallish back seats, go ahead. It is amazing. I took a few people for rides to get their opinion, and the common remark was about the acceleration from rest and how their stomachs slammed against their spine. Some yelped, some swore. Some wanted to do it over and over again, but for most, once was enough. You yourself will get used to that massive torque pretty quickly, but after you've frightened everyone you know, you'll take it a bit for granted and you might ask yourself, was it really worth the extra cash? Consider saving yourself 7 grand and just go for the less powerful version.
5 years warranty, unlimited kilometres, and 8-year warranty on all the high voltage stuff. So forget about any idea that you've got to throw the battery away after, it'll outlive the car.
Yeah.
And certainly it'll outlive your ownership of this car, unless you're keeping it for 15 years or more. And they also have 5-year complimentary servicing and their valet service. So Genesis to you. When it's serviced, they'll bring you a new one. And
that's good, isn't it?
And 10-year 24/7 roadside assistance. Okay. Android, straight off my phone.
But I have to say, not a great implementation of Android Auto. A bit slow and laggy, so I didn't bother too much with it.
Not all electric motors are created the same.
Yeah.
And Hyundai Genesis do good ones. They're you can't hear anything at all when you haven't got the mode enabled. And they're excellent, very efficient. If people go in this and drive it and go, I like it, and they're driving within a 200 or 300 kilometre radius of where they live, and they can charge at home, I have absolutely no hesitation. I go, you're going to love it. It's amazing. Well, was that a fun day, Mark?
It was a fun day. Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. It was really good to spend the day in this car.
Isn't it staggering how far they've come? It's very much like the Ioniq 5 in the way it handles. It feels like an SUV, not a sports sedan. I thought it might have been a little different. I think these Michelin Pilot EV tyres are not quite as good as the Pilot Sport 4 we've had on some other cars. There's not quite the same level of grip, which you do need when you've got 700 Newton metres. It's a massive amount. But overall, hugely impressive car. And here we are.
Speed camera hit 80 kilometers per hour speed.
No problem. Whoa! Oh, that's so bright. Incredible power. Very good handling and grip. I'm a little disappointed it's not more of a sports sedan, but it is an SUV. All I can say is it's a very special car with so much gadgetry. Yes, I know. Hands on the wheel. Now here's the thing that will surprise you. On that last 93 kilometres I've driven, average economy 12.5 kilowatt hours per 100k. Yes, the first bit was downhill and we got like 6 or 7, but to average 12 with a lot of freeway driving at 110 k's an hour is incredible.
So that's it. That's the Genesis GV60. See you next time.
Sorry, Qantas. Go Emirates.
Emirates. Rules. Oh hey, you made it right through to the end of the video. Congratulations. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, please share it with your motoring friends. And above all, click the little subscribe thing down here so you can see the latest videos when we bring them out, hopefully each week. I look forward to seeing you soon.